I have far too many books sitting on my shelves. I love having a variety of different books. I love having lots of different things to choose from, having options on my shelves, but sometimes it can get a little overwhelming even for me, and I am here to try and get some of my physical TBR read down and some of these books either off of my shelves if I'm not loving them, or curate my shelves to something that I love looking at, that every time I see a book I think of good emotions and how I loved that book. That is what we're here to do today. So in our last One Shelf episode, we ended with 167 books on my physical TBR, which is still better, but not to the 100 that I want it to be. So we're still whittling that down. We're still working down my number of unread books. So in this episode, I have actually bought a few things. I've gotten a few special editions in the mail. So unfortunately, we are going to be starting with 181 books. Oh, I thought I had been doing well, but apparently I was wrong. Okay, we're gonna try to make a dent with this One Shelf episode. It is Amazing Readathon month, and I'm the co-host of Team Gal Weavers with Claire from Claire's Neverland of Books, and this was created by Brie from Four Paws in a Book. And I am having the best time with Amazing. It is a race to finish. We're going to different magical worlds. We're currently on our third world and about to, hopefully, we'll see, go into our fourth world, and I'm gonna try to get a shelf where I can fit to the prompts, but since I don't know what they are yet, I don't know if that's gonna work. Brie really likes to focus the Amazing Readathon on Pride Month. There's a bonus prompt if you read a LGBTQ+ book or a book with representation in it, and so I really wanted to focus on something with like colors. Originally I was like, I could pick my most colorful shelf, but I have a lot of black on my shelves, so that was a little harder to do. So I decided we were going to use a random color generator, and then I was gonna pick a shelf with a book that matched whatever color we got. So let me pull up a random color generator, and then we're going to generate a color. This is kind of scary because this thing can give me like literally anything. Ooh, violet blue. I have a lot of blue books on my shelf, so I feel like I can make this happen. I just want a book that like has a color on it. I don't necessarily need it to be the whole book. I have a lot of blue books on this shelf. I've read them all, but I have a lot of blue books. So let's see, what about maybe? I feel like Dreams of Ice and Iron can count. For some reason this thing keeps popping up bad, so I can't pull it up, but this has like a very what feels like cobalt blue like flowers on the cover. And then we also have a layer of Dreams, which also has a pretty prominent blue cover. Both of these are on the same shelf, so that actually works really well. So I guess this shelf, this one right here, is gonna be the one for the video. So let me flip you guys around, show you what all is on the shelf and what I need to be reading. Okay, so this is going to be the shelf that we are primarily focusing on because of Layer of Bones and Dreams of Ice and Iron having that like prominent blue color on them. So as far as the books that I have not read off of this shelf though, of course Dreams of Ice and Iron I have not read yet. I've been putting it off mostly because I'm afraid she's never going to finish that series, and so I just have been avoiding it so that I did not get hurt when I didn't have the second book. And then I do need to read City of Lies and Legends. This is the third book and the current out for the City of Gods and Monsters series. I gave this book a 5-star when I read it. It is one of the contenders for like best books of the year. So I am so excited to move into City of Lies and Legends. I have read the Flame and Sparrow duology, so all of these three here. Song of the Mart is actually signed and personalized for me. I actually got this cover when I was at ApollyCon. This is going to be my veto simply because I have tried this series before and DNF'd it, and so I may try it again at some point, but right now it's mostly just on my shelves because I don't want to unhaul a signed and personalized copy. I've read the entire Blood and Steel series, really enjoyed those. And then we have the Layer of Bones, which we've already talked about. It's Helen Scher's like young adult series, so I'm excited to try that. I also need to read All That Falls by A.N. Horton. This is one that I've heard good things about, but I've actually heard better things about their dystopian series. So I'm curious to see if I like the writing style, and then maybe I'll try that. And then of course I read Phantasma and Enchantress. So we have 4 books, Dreams of Ice and Iron, City of Lies and Legends, Layer of Bones, and All That Falls that we're going to be reading for this video. So I started Layer of Bones by Helen Scher. This was supposed to be my like cozy Shire read because to me, Romantasy in general is cozy, but especially a YA romantasy. And I was really looking forward to reading more from Helen Scher's world. I've read both of her adult series and really enjoyed them. So I was like, okay, let's try one of her young adult. This has got a competition aspect to it. It's involving sirens. Sounded really cool. Sirens are like our main characters in here, and humans don't really know that they exist. They kind of live in the underground, the undersea, full of bones, and they only let humans see what they want them to see. They've had the same queen ruling for 600 years, but every 50 years they have a set of trials to see if anybody can win, and if they can become the new king or queen of these sirens. So we've got our main character Ro, who is the daughter of someone that was imprisoned, although that is strangely not talked about as much as I would think that it would be. But anyway, she is basically just working in the slums. She doesn't really have a lot of money. She is an orphan, and only one person from their like sector can join these trials. So they are going to battle it out to see who is going to be able to go do this, and she's determined it is going to be her. Sounds like a really interesting setup, and I think that the world building in this could be extremely interesting. My biggest issue right now is that there's just not a whole lot of it. We're getting little bits and pieces, but it's mostly only related to immediately what we're dealing with, and I want to know more about these sirens in general. I want to know what they do to the men. I want to know how they draw people in. They talk about at one point all of their like warriors are females. Give me more of that. I want more of it. But really all I'm getting is kind of like friendship, and I've got to be the one to prove myself, and it just feels a little repetitive at the moment, and it feels very young. She's supposed to be 17 in this, but she does not read 17 to me at all. At one point I almost felt like I was reading a middle grade because of the way that they were conversing. The actual writing style of the book itself does not feel young adult. It's purely in the interactions and in the dialogue that I'm really struggling, because they feel so much younger, and I'm just like, I need more. I need there to be some substance, and right now I just don't feel it, and I'm not engaged. I'm not connecting with the characters, and so I think at like 15-20% I may DNF this, which means I cannot count it for the like cozy Shire leg of this. So I need to figure out which one of my remaining books I'm gonna consider cozy. I truly think most romantasy for me is considered pretty cozy. It's my comfort genre, and so for me a comfort genre is cozy, because I don't read cozy books. I don't like them. They are just not really for me, which is fine. I'm so glad other people love them, but they are not the books for me. So that is my version of a cozy read. So once I figure that out, I'll let you know, but we're gonna have to resort to plan B. I made it through part 1 in All That Falls, which is around 20% of the way in, and so far all I've really gotten about this world is that we're in present day human world, but there are rifts that continue to open up, and the government is trying to really figure out what's going on. They have scientists looking into it. They've been able to close most of them, but the one that we're currently dealing with is much larger than usual, and a minotaur falls out of it, like a full-on axe-wielding, boar-headed minotaur. Our female main character, Rin, does manage to destroy the minotaur relatively quickly, and we find out that she is actually a half fae, but this is supposed to be some big secret, and she is working on closing the portal between our world and the fae world. But when she gets back to her office one day, 2 men are just there hanging out, and they ask her about this rift and tell her that they are fully fae. That's all I have about this so far. As far as the like back synopsis, it says that she's going to strike a deal with these 2 guys, and he will heal her rift if she will help him get back to the other side. But they've got some very dangerous things that are going to happen on their journey. And originally when I first started this, I think that the world building could be really interesting. This rift with beings that fall from the sky sounds so different and so interesting than anything else that I've ever read. I actually really liked the scientist modern day type of thing where it was a little bit more urban, and I was really enjoying that as well. It felt more like an urban 2000s paranormal type fantasy than it did more of a like epic fantasy, and I was kind of in it for those vibes. But as we've gone on, I've gotten progressively less interested in it. The writing is fine, but it is very tell not show. We're just kind of being told and dumped all of this stuff, and not in a very organic feeling way. So I just find myself becoming less and less interested because I'm not feeling connected or in depth to anything, because anytime there's a question, it's like, oh, well, here's the answer. And I'm kind of like, okay, well, I do need to figure out some of this, or, you know, have some intrigue to keep me wanting to find out what's going on, because literally every time there's a question, they just provide the answer. It's just too easy. And then, like, she's got this big secret of being a half fae, yet literally everyone she talks to knows, but nobody can know. And the moment that she meets these two guys, she immediately spills everything and trusts them and tells them everything they need to know about the rifts and takes them there. It's just too easy. And I'm like, give me something. I need something. Right now, I think I am going to continue. It is a very easy read. Like I said, it has the potential to be super, super cool, but I'm going to need it to find some depth, because right now I don't see it. We're gonna ignore how it's a completely different day, but I'm still wearing the same shirt. I quite like this shirt, so I use every excuse I can to wear my bookish merch. Honestly, that's all you find me in when I'm home from work. I take off my work clothes, take off my bra, and immediately put on my bookish merch. And I live in it, but I only have it on for like a little bit in the afternoon, and that's just not long enough. So then we gotta reuse it the next day, you know? I tried to read a little bit more of All That Falls today, and I'm very sad to report that even though I did get a little bit further into this, I think that I'm gonna be DNFing. The issues that I was having with it are not resolving, and I was hoping that once the author settled in a little bit more, it would get somewhat better. And I can clearly see how the author is trying to mitigate some of these issues that I'm having with, like, the instant friendship, the instant trust. So, like, the attempt is there, the acknowledgement of it is there, but it's just not enough for me to be brought into the story. I'm still very, like, feel very detached from the story overall. I will try more from this author, because it kind of feels just like needing to settle in a little bit. And I think the idea was so cool that I really want to love something from them and try something from them again in the future. So I really do think that I will. I just think it needs to be the right book. And unfortunately, this one is not the right book. So I'm going to be DNFing. I'm also going to be unhauling this one. I feel like I'm in a little bit of a weird mood at the moment and need to, I don't know if I need to take a break from reading because I do want to be reading, or if I need to be reading something different. I'm not really sure, but something needs to give. So I think I'm going to probably unhaul this one, but I might keep Layer of Bones. I haven't really decided yet, but like, it hurts my heart that Helen Shure is not working for me. So we'll see. We got far enough. We're gonna consider it an okay for getting through to the Shire. And then now I'm just waiting on the next leg to drop. So I don't know if I'm gonna have time for any sightseeing. I'm not sure if that's something that I'm gonna be able to do or not. I may start my next one shelf book, and if it doesn't fit for the prompt, then I might backpedal a little bit and try something different. But I do really need to get a head start on City of Lies and Legends, because that book is chunky, like one of the thickest books on my shelf. I think it's like 800 pages and like 30 something hours of an audiobook. It rivals the length of Fairy Tale, honestly. And so I need a head start. There's no way that I get through that book. Even though I did the last one, we're not going to talk about it right now in today's moment, Mel. I don't think I'm going to get through that book in 2 or 3 days and keep up with the leg. So we're going to get a little bit of a head start. I do know that at some point a big city prompt is coming. When that's going to be, we will find out. And I'm just hoping that it's soon. We need to have a real-time talk, because I have not been reading in like 2 days. Everything that I pick up, including the books that I've already showed you guys in this vlog, I am just having the hardest time having them keep my attention. And I think part of it was the books. I'm not sure that they would have been like all-time faves regardless of how I'm feeling, but I thought that I was not a mood reader, and I think I wasn't a mood reader for the longest time. And now recently, my mood, my want to read, what I'm in the mood for is really dictating how I'm feeling about books and whether or not I want to pick them up, which in one way is good, and in other ways I'm like, let me just read what I need to read. So I think I am going to take a couple of days to just like, I don't know, reset, refresh, and see if I can get my mojo back. I have started Dreams of Ice and Iron, I think is the title of that one, but I'm only like 3 chapters in and just been having a really hard time picking it up. So we're gonna pause. We're gonna take a little breaky break. We're gonna give the book the best of its ability, and I'm gonna go watch some reruns of Suits, or maybe some of the Secret Lives of Mormon Wives. I've been hearing that's really good. Yellowstone, like there's so many different TV shows that I want to be watching right now. So I'm gonna do that for tonight, and we're just gonna let myself not read, and then we're gonna come back and try again later. In other news though, Sabrina Carpenter announced that she is going to be putting out her new album in August, and I am so excited. I really like Man-Child. It definitely grew on me. It was one of those songs when I first listened to it, I was like, this is not the vibe I wanted, but also I kind of like it, and then the more I started listening to the lyrics, the more I started to appreciate it and enjoy it, and I do think it's going to be one of those that like I definitely appreciate more as I listen. That happens with a decent amount of her music. Definitely Please 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 was one of those where on first listen I was like, I don't like this, and now I'm like screaming it at the top of my lungs. So I'm very excited to see what the rest of the album is going to entail. But I'm going to be going to her concert on Halloween, and I'm really curious what's going to be like next from the set list. Like, what if my favorites are going to get the axe? But also I'm hoping that there's some that I absolutely love and am excited to. So that is my life currently. That is not a reading update. That's not what you came here for, but life is what life is sometimes. So that is what you're gonna get. I'll be back tomorrow with hopefully a refreshed reading outlook. So it's actually quite a bit later because today is Sunday, and since the last time we talked, I did the Face Off 48-hour readathon where I spent all weekend just kind of resetting, refreshing, and trying to find my love of reading again, get out of this little bit of a slump that I've been in recently before going back to Dreams of Ice and Iron. Before the readathon started, I was having a really hard time getting into this book, and I was hoping that it was just me and kind of feeling slumpy, needing a little bit of a breather to shake things up a little bit. And unfortunately, I think it's the book. I hate to do another DNF in this video, but honestly, the whole point of One Shelf is to get my shelves curated to things that I love, things that I am proud to look at my shelf and go, yeah, I remember fondly reading that. And unfortunately, these books pushing through getting a 3-star read, 2-star read that I plan to unhaul anyway is not doing anything other than forcing me to read something that I'm not interested in. That's where I'm at with Dreams of Ice and Iron. It's following a girl named Avalon who's the daughter of a king, but he wants nothing to do with her, so she spends her time down in these catacombs and she finds a mask and hears a bunch of whispers. And then we have Sable, who has waited 10 years for freedom. She is a fae that has been locked inside this mask, as well as a character named Nocturne, who is like part of a werewolf clan. It's very discombobulated at the moment, and I think this is Kayla Edwards' first book, and the writing definitely kind of shows that in my opinion. I'm struggling with just getting invested not only in the characters but in the writing and the story. The premise of this sounds so cool, but I just, every time I pick it up, I read 3 pages and then I immediately put it back down and find something else to do. And then I'll be like, okay, I'm in the mood to read. I'll pick it up, I'll read 3 pages, I'll find something else to do. I've managed to get about 60 pages into this, but no matter what I do, breaks that I take, different books that I read, I just don't find myself being drawn to pick this book back up. And I think that means that it's time for me to DNF it. So we're going to be doing our 3rd DNF of the vlog, but it's fine. It's all fine. And moving on to what will hopefully be a surefire win, because the first book in this series I gave a 5-star, so I'm really hoping that the energy will continue by the same author as Kayla Edwards. Like, I really enjoy her books. It's not anything personal. This one's just not working for me. But we're going to be moving on to City of Lies and Legends, which is the 3rd book in the House of Devils series, and I'm very, very excited to get back into this world. I've been thinking about it ever since I finished book 2, so I think this one's gonna be a win. It better be a win. Either way, we're gonna have knocked like what, 4 books off of the One Shelf, so it'll be a success regardless. We've moved on to our next city, and the prompt for this one is to read a book set in a large city, and I can't think of a book more perfect for that than the City of Lies and Legends, which is the 3rd book in the City of Gods and Monsters series. I ate up book 2 in this series. After not just being completely obsessed with the first book, I felt like the second book really had a great character arc in it. We learned a lot about Darian, and it kind of broke my heart a little bit. I liked Lauren and her character better in book 2, and I think that just the aspects of the world and like the creature things that we got in book 2, I was obsessed with. So I was very excited to pick up book 3. If you're curious about this series, it's following Loren, who is a human living in a world full of creatures. In this city of Angel Fiend, there are vampires, there are werewolves, there are witches, there are people called Dark Slayers who are basically bounty hunters, and she's just trying to live because she has no magic. So she is actually the best friend slash sister of a witch, and unfortunately one night they decide that they're going to walk home instead of taking a taxi after dark, end up getting in a lot of trouble, and are kind of saved by Darian the Dark Slayer, even though he's actually out for her bounty, and he ends up begrudgingly agreeing to help her find her best friend who was taken that night, and they start working together. There's a lot that happens from there, but I don't want to tell you anymore in case I were to spoil anything. But this is very Crescent City vibes. I think that they're different enough that it's not like a copycat of Crescent City by any means. Actually might prefer what I've read of this series series more than Crescent City, don't come for me, because I love the first book in the series, but they kind of went downhill a little bit after that. But if you love the Crescent City vibes and you're looking for something that's more along those lines, I would definitely recommend picking these up. They're very, very chunky, so they're a time commitment, but so much fun. The opening of this one definitely starts right where the second book left off. We had some things happen at the end that were just like, okay, where are we going to go from here? How are we going to get this resolved? I'm happy to say this is not doing that thing that Romantasy likes to do, where they make whatever happened, this big thing that happened at the end of the previous book, just go away at the snap of a finger. We are still actively, as of starting part 2 of this book 100 pages in, actively still working to resolve that issue. I am really, really appreciating that and enjoying it. It's definitely starting to lean a little bit more urban fantasy as we get further into the series. We're getting away from the romance a little bit, but we're also getting other romances that are picking up too, and I'm not 100% sure how I feel about that. I do miss Darian and Loren, especially Darian being at the forefront of the story, and I think that while I do like and understand why these new points of view need to be added in and why we need to have other people and their relationships come in to the fray, because otherwise it could very easily get boring with just Darian and Loren's relationship, and with where things are, it's hard to focus on them particularly, but I am missing that, and I'm curious to see if I'm going to end up falling completely head over heels with these new points of view, or if I'm going to continue to feel that way. I do like the new point of view that's been added, the new couple that I think we're going to get primarily in this story. They have a lot of spunk and a lot of bite to them. I can see them both being characters in a couple that I would really, really enjoy, but I don't want to lose our original babies, you know? But otherwise, I have no complaints. I'm having the best time. I flew through the first 100 pages of this in literally an hour, and that was holding the physical book. I don't normally read physical books, especially ones this thick, and for me to be able to read that much in that short amount of a time, I was sad. Excited to continue. I mean, literally, like, I have a very long way to go. I don't even think we're 25% in because this thing is long. Yeah, we're not. We are 731 pages long, so this is going to get me lots of points for amazing at least. How far am I into this? Because this book is, it is chunky, and I don't know. I've been listening, which I actually don't usually listen to this series. I typically do it physically, but I've been enjoying the audio experience for this one. I'm on chapter 39. So somewhere around here, so like 25-30% of the way in. I definitely think I prefer City of Souls and Sinners to this one so far, but I will say that this picked up a lot faster. Like the action and the intrigue started earlier in this, whereas both City of Gods and Monsters and City of Souls and Sinners I felt like took me a little time to warm up. There's not enough Darian in this book though. I've already told you that. I'm missing my baby Darian, and there's also a lot of point of views, and I love my multi-point of view stories. I like my epic stories. I like my expansive stories, but there's a lot, and I feel like we don't need quite as many as we're getting. I don't feel like Travis's point of view, it's just not adding anything for me right now, and so I'm a little bit like, okay, let's get back to Darian and Loren. Let's get back to Roman. I actually am enjoying his character quite a lot. I wasn't sure how I was gonna feel about the addition of more characters, but I'm really liking him. He's very like grumpy, broody, and it's working for me. So I think I wish that there was less POVs, but other than that, I'm enjoying this story a lot. We are now getting to more of the lull at about 30% where I'm waiting for more things to start happening. Kayla Edwards is a little long-winded, but at the same time, I'm still invested enough in these characters that I'm just like bebopping along, listening and having a good old time. Laughing at between Shay and Roman, and like she built a pillow fort to keep them separated and he tripped over it in the middle of the night. I was cackling at some of that and some of the like more relatable moments in this, and I think that she just writes those characters really, really well, which is a little like crazy for me to say. I think I was just so blinded by not really loving Loren as a main character that I was struggling, but it's gonna take me a while probably until I give you guys another update. I'm thinking like 50-60%. I feel like I need to update you more on a book that's this big rather than my usual 25-50 end, because there is a lot of pages between 50% and 100%, but we'll see how we feel when we get to 50%. So I know that things cannot be like super happy all the time, but like I can't decide whether I want to throw the book or whether this is a good thing that I feel this way, but I just need like I need them to have a happy moment, just one happy moment. But there's more drama, there's more things, there's more obstacles, there's more battles between them once again, but it's fine. It's all fine. I don't want it to be a super easy resolve, so like there's that at least, but I'm just like Let them have some happy. So I don't really have time to give a full update right now, but it has been quite a few days since I updated you guys on City of Lies and Legends, and the reason for that is I went from really enjoying it and having a good time to it feels like it is really dragging, somewhere around the 25-30ish% mark, and I got really disappointed and not really wanting to pick up the book anymore, so I haven't been reading. I've been kind of avoiding it. So I'll let you guys know when I get a little bit closer to like the 60ish% mark, and we'll check in. Hopefully things will be going a little bit better. I do have to make this semi-quick because I am headed into work, but this one shelf episode is not going exactly as planned because I'm now about 60%, well 50 to 60% into City of Lies and Legends, and this book has middle book syndrome, something awful. I have been reading this for well over a week now. I definitely got a head start on Ketterdam, and I just feel like it's dragging. And it's not that I'm not enjoying it because I do still like the characters and I do still like the story, but I feel like there's just nothing happening. We've got a million different points of view, so you can never really like pin down exactly what the plot is that's going on. And I feel like we left the plot that we finished with that I enjoyed so much at the end of book 2 and just kind of ignored it for the sake of all this other stuff happening in this one. And I don't really love that. I think that the amnesia trope in here is generally fine. I don't really feel like it's necessary. It's really just in here to create drama between our two main characters so that they can't be together. And while I get that you've got to have something to keep things interesting, we've got so much else going on that I'm like, just give me a little bit of the romance, just a little bit. There's not a lot of romance in this book, but there's also not enough of the urban fantasy elements, in my opinion, for me to be like sucked in. We're just kind of running around doing things. We're starting to get to a point where things are getting more interesting though, so I'm hoping that the last like 30% kills it for me because I loved the last little bit of City of Souls and Sinners, but I just feel like these books are not paced in the best way. Like they're just far too long. This thing is like 730 pages, and it very easily could have been like 500, 400, and we would have gotten the same point across. So I am struggling a little bit, and that's frustrating because I enjoyed book 2 a lot, especially the second half of book 2. And so I was really hoping that even if I was struggling in the beginning, oops, sun, bright. Even if I was struggling in the beginning of this one, I would love the second half. So fingers crossed for me that is still the case, but oh my gosh, that's bright. I gotta go. So after a lot longer than it really should have taken me, I have now finished City of Lies and Legends. I did prefer the second half of this book, but I stand by thinking that this was much too long, in my opinion. I just feel like there was so much that didn't happen that could have happened that was all shoved into the end, and the ending felt a little bit rushed, in my opinion. I do really enjoy her endings, but some of my favorite things about this story, two of my favorite things, are Darian, of course, and then I actually really like the world building around the demons and the veil and all of that, and I feel like we just didn't get as much of that as I wanted. And it's something that I really did like about book 2 was there was more of that, more sprinkled throughout the story, whereas this felt like it was shoved all into the end, and I missed that part of the story. There was a lot of like, what are we gonna order for dinner kind of talk, and I know that she does that to try to build character development and to show you like day-to-day living, but I just feel like I wasn't as emotionally invested in this one, and I should have been, especially with the new like character POVs. I really should have felt more invested in those characters than I did. There were moments with Roman and like his family and his points of view that were definitely heart-wrenching, and I think were done very well. There just wasn't enough of them for me, and so I am really struggling with what I'm gonna rate this, and I don't fully know, and I probably won't give you guys a rating here because I'm just not, I don't know. I don't know what I'm gonna rate this. I think I need to sit on it because there were moments that I did really enjoy, but overall I just felt like it dragged on for a very long time, and I don't know if part of the way I feel about it is just because it took me so long to read it, or if the reason it took me so long to read it is because of how I felt about it, so it's kind of one of those catch-22s, but in the end, I liked it. I will be continuing on with book 4, but my expectations will be tempered a little bit from the high coming off of book 2. I'm not going to be going into it thinking that it will be a 5-star prediction, but expecting to really enjoy it, and maybe that set this one up a little bit for failure. Very possibly. So anyway, in the end, we are done with this chunker. I did submit it for the Ketterdam prompt for the Amazing Readathon, and I used a power up to get me double the page count points, so this thing got me a lot of points. It's 758 pages. But before I show you the shelf, I do have a very fun little secret tidbit to tell you guys. Currently, as of me filming filming this, the Gale Weavers are 42 points behind the team in front of us. Do with that what you will. We're going to flip around to the shelf. I'm going to show you guys what books I read, what books I completed, and then we'll talk about how many books I currently have left and how we did in this video. Okay, so this is what the shelf looks like now that I have read everything, pulled everything off. I'm actually going to do a little bit of rearranging because it's getting a little sparse over here on the side. Maybe we'll just pull my plant forward a little bit in the meantime. But I read City of Lies and Legends. We're absolutely keeping that because I do plan to continue on in the series. And then, like we talked about, we're going to be skipping Song of the March. That was my veto. I have removed 2 books from the shelf, which is All That Falls and A Layer of Bones, as well as I also am going to be unhauling Dreams of Ice and Iron. So we managed to unhaul 3 books, read 1, and I think that this shelf is already looking like more of books that I love. This is probably a very good time to tell you guys that there is something very fun and exciting on my channel, I think, coming soon that will definitely help with the problem that we are about to have encountered. But we started with 181 books, and I was really hoping to get that number down to at least 177. Is that right? Because we had 4 books. But unfortunately, I did have a pre-order that I forgot was coming in, and I also might have possibly bought a book. We're not going to talk about it. It's fine. But because of that, if I spreadsheeted my spreadsheet correctly, which it's possible that I did not, we are down to 179 books. So at least we're making downward progress, but I've got to figure out a way to make a little bit better progress. I did remove a couple of books from my shelves, which is always good, and I need to make sure that I removed those from the spreadsheet because that could be part of the problem. But unhauling, clearing off rooms on my shelves, and again, curating my shelves to all things that I love, and I'm like, ooh, I would recommend that and I would recommend that, rather than just having things and going, I don't remember that book, or I don't think about it very fondly, is truly the goal here. So even though we had a few DNFs, bear with me. I'm sure the next one shelf will be a great time, and I still had a good time. I'm still so glad that I finally got to all of these books, because honestly, they're books that I would not have gotten to in any kind of timely manner, especially like All That Falls has been on 3 TBRs and I haven't read it yet, so it definitely kicked me into reading things that I normally would put off. So it's absolutely accomplishing its purpose. Thank you guys so much for hanging out. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Do not forget that it is the Amazing Readathon month. You can still join, and I will leave all of the information down in the description box below in case you guys want to check it out. You should join Team Gale Weavers. If you just want to let me know that you were here and hanging out, we're gonna do a bat for City of Lies and Legends, and then I will leave my previous one shelf episode up here on the screen for you guys to check out in case you're interested. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.